and welcome to the session on mounting of chuck on machine spindle and unloading 3-jaw chuck and 4-jaw chuck. Let us begin with the session.
Let us now take a look at the objectives of this session. At the end of this session, you will be able to dismount chuck from spindle nose, mount chucks on spindle noses. Let us now learn about mounting chucks on spindle noses. Switch off the motor. Place the chuck on the wooden blank and slide it close to the spindle nose. Set the lever to lock the spindle. Turn the spindle clockwise by hand and engage the chuck on the spindle. Screw the chuck until it fits firmly on the spindle. The chuck should easily screw into the spindle. Let us now learn about dismounting chucks on spindle nose. Switch off the motor. Set the lever to lock the spindle. Place the wooden block between the chuck and the lathe bed. The thickness of the wooden block should be slightly less than the distance between the chuck and the lathe bed. Turn the lathe spindle anti-clockwise by hand to loosen the chuck from the spindle nose. Unscrew the chuck from the spindle. Remove the wooden block. Let us now learn about mounting of chuck on the cam lock spindle. Disengage the clutch to permit free rotation of the spindle. Insert the correct chuck key into the cam locking screw on the spindle. Turn each cam locking screw so that the registration line is vertical with the corresponding line on the spindle. Turn the spindle by hand until the clearance holes on the spindle align with the cam lock studs on the chuck. Set the speed change lever to the lowest RPM. Push the chuck on the spindle. Tighten each cam lock screw in a clockwise direction. Let us now learn about the mounting of the chuck bolted spindle. Remove the nuts and the washer from the studs on the chuck. Disengage the clutch to permit free rotation of the spindle. Turn the spindle by hand until the key in the spindle lines up with the slot in the chuck. Set the speed change lever to the lowest RPM. Push the chuck onto the spindle. Fit washer and nuts to the studs. Let us now learn about mounting of the chuck on a taper spindle. Turn the spindle by hand until the key on the spindle nose lines up with the keyway in the chuck. Set the speed change lever to the lowest RPM. Push the chuck onto the spindle. Turn the locking ring anti-clockwise. Engage the special C spanner on the locking ring. The spanner should fit around the top of the locking ring with the handle pointing downwards. Grip the end of the handle with one hand. Firmly strike the other end of the other hand in an anti-clockwise direction. Securely tighten the locking ring. Do's and don'ts of mounting and dismounting of chucks. Before attempting to mount a chuck, ensure that it is the correct one for the lathe and for the job in hand. Do not use power to mount a chuck on spindle noses. Clean all the mating parts of the chuck and spindle. Place a wooden board on the lathe bed when mounting light chucks to prevent damage to the slideways. For large chucks, place a wooden cradle between the chucks and the lathe bed. Lubricate the mating surfaces with a light film of oil. After mounting, set the speed change lever to the lowest RPM. Switch on the motor. Engage the clutch lever. The chuck would now begin revolving. Check the diameter and the face of the chuck are running true by observing the surfaces. Clean and store the chuck carefully after use. While dismounting a chuck, hold diameter 30 by 300 mm iron piece projecting about 200 mm more than the chuck to enable easy and safe lifting. To recap, we have learned to dismount chuck from spindle nose, mount chucks on spindle noses.
So that's all about mounting of chuck on machine spindle and unloading 3-jaw chuck and 4-jaw chuck. Hope you have understood all the concepts and exercises. See you in the next session.